So if statements, I forgot to start recording. So you go ahead. If you're watching this video, read the slide. Okay, then here we are. An if statement has the word if, and then it has a condition that can be either true or false. Notice it's really important that you have two equal signs if you're checking if something is equal to something. That's how it works. That's how you compare two things. When you have one equal sign, that's called an assignment variable. Like you're saying x, my variable x, I want it to be equal to 5. That'd be one thing. But here you're saying, hey, is n equal to secret number? And if it is, then it does what's inside, what's underneath. What kind of statements can we do? We can check pieces of text. So if name is equal to LeBron, if you're checking text, you would do quotes. If you're checking numbers, we've got a bunch of things we can do. So check this out. We have the double equals. That checks that they're the same. We have greater than or equal to. That's how you do it on the computer because you can't. It's hard to. I don't know where it is on the keyboard, the built-in one. And here's less than or equal to, and here's just a regular greater than and a regular less than. And then this is another new one. The exclamation point equals, that means not equals. So here's examples, over here. If n equals 7, if n is greater than or equal to 7, and so on. Any questions so far? Okay. So here's a sample program. N equals int input, please guess my age. If n is less than 57, too low, I'm older than that. If n is equal to 57, lucky guess you got it. And if n is greater than 57, I'm not that old. Come on. I'm actually older than that now. I made this slide 2 years ago. Although I'm still 58 for another month. You guys will not have the privilege of singing happy birthday for me because my birthday falls on a Wednesday this year. So, oh well. So this is code that'll be a lot like what you're going to be doing today. One thing to notice, every time you write an if statement, the line that follows, the stuff that follows the if has to be indented. That's how you know what's like part of the if statement, part of that conditional statement. So this first line, that will run always, but then the only print lines that run are the ones that would be true, depending on what n is. And also notice each if line has a colon, kind of like the while loop things we were doing. They all ended in a colon. The if lines have to end in a colon. That tells Python, hey, we're doing an if statement. Couple more things for today. We have a way where you can write a program that'll repeat forever. And instead of saying while c is less than 10, you can just say while true. And it's a capital T for true, but that means, hey, repeat forever. Can anyone tell me what this will print out? Look at the code. And then maybe raise your hand. Yes?
It would actually be 3, and then it would print out 5.
And then it would keep going, right?
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
It actually, the first number to print will be a 5, but you're right, because see, it comes in, it's 3, and then before it prints anything, it adds 2 to it, and then it prints it. So it'll be 5, 7, 9, 11. And it's going to go on forever. So when I say, is there a problem with this code? That would be the problem. This code would just go forever and fill your window with numbers that got bigger and bigger and bigger. So we have a command that helps us with that. We have the break command. So right here, check this out. I said, hey, if x is greater than 10, then break. And break means leave the loop. Break is a computer term. I guess you're breaking the loop, like you're stuck in a loop and you break it and then you get out of the loop. So can someone else, besides Christopher, say what you think this will print now? Yes.
5, 7, 9.
I forget is it going to also do an 11? Definitely 579. 5.
It is an 11.
It will do an 11, right? I think it will do an 11 too, because when it comes in, uh,
So when it hits the point of 11, then it breaks.
when it has printed 11, then it's too big and it quits. Yeah, because otherwise the loop is running forever. Yeah, so I have it written down here. Yeah, I just, I had to think it through too. So in today's program, we're going to have a loop that's a while true loop instead of while something is less than something. So we're going to say while true. So repeat forever. And then we're going to have a if statement with a break command. And that's it for the notes. Any questions? I'm thinking I should show you a couple if statements. So I'm going to just create a Python day4 6th period demo. So I'll do this while true. N equals int input, enter a number, and enter the temperature. Hot. Enter the temperature, and let's put it in a variable called t instead of n. And we'll say if t greater than, what would you say? What do we want to say is hot? 85? We're doing Fahrenheit. So if it's greater than what? What's considered hot?
85.
Let's say 85. If it's greater than 85, we say that's hot. So watch this program run. Enter the temperature. I say 2. Nothing happens. Because, yes, Landon.
Sorry, can you explain the while true thing?
Yeah. What we were doing the other day was we had a variable like c, and we'd say while c is less than 10, and then we'd print c or c equals c plus 1. So this loop up here is going to repeat a certain number of times. And so the point of basically this statement, c less than 10, that's something that's going to be either true or false. So we can sort of short circuit all that nonsense. And if we know we want to loop forever until some other thing happens, we can just say while true. And that just means loop until I tell you to stop looping. And then when you do that, you have to have a way to get out. I mean, you don't have to, but I ask you to have a break somewhere. So this is just a way of making sure it's always true. Yeah, so yeah, I'm glad you asked. So we can say if t is less than 50, we could say that's cold. I mean, honestly, when I was in college, I studied Russian. I told you that, and I took a Russian composition class from a woman from Russia, and she was this grumpy old lady, and she had us write a paper describing where we lived. I lived in Davis, and I said Davis is cold in the winter, and she marked me down. She said, "You don't know anything about cold. Davis isn't cold." And I'm like, I don't know. It's like 40 degrees. It's pretty cold, but anyway, so maybe I'll go to 30 so that we know it's like we're in Russia. It's that cold. And then if I wanted to make this loop until somebody said it was cold, I could put a break right there. Or why don't I do a secret temperature? What's the perfect temperature? If t equals 78, print just right and break. So we'll run this little loop. Enter the temperature. So I'm going to say 12 degrees. Whew, that's cold. 333. That's hot. And if I say 78, it says just right. And then this break quits the loop. So it stops repeating. You're going to do something like that in today's program. So I'm going to I'll stop the recording.